Poppy, and happy Shamanic Sundays.
Hey, good morning, buenos dias to you and everyone listening. Oh,
Thank you. Good to see you.
good to see
Good
you
to
always.
see all you folks out there in our Shamanic Sundays community. Thank you for joining us here. We are so grateful for you and so grateful for you, Dad, and for all of your work. And we do Shamanic Sundays to help share your wisdom with the world and all the teachings that your incredible mentors have given you and me too. And so thank you for joining us so we can share and connect with each other. Um, as we always do, starting in a spirit of sacred reciprocity, could you start us off with a prayer this morning?
Well, speaking of connection, just give thanks for the connectedness we have with the creative wisdom power of the universe that flows into us with every breath and gives us this life that we have and gives us the manifestation of this beautiful world we live in and gives us opportunity to tap into deeper wisdom with gratitude for our ancestors and gratitude for all the gifts of grace in our lives and the ancestors of the spirit of the land we live on. We remember you here and prayers for your people, prayers for all people in these challenging times. May we use this time of joining, this day that we're given, to open our minds, our hearts, our consciousness to what's most important to pay attention to in this life, in this troublesome world with so many challenges and so much violence. How can we use this day and the power of our own focused minds and the love in our hearts, which is the essence of our being, to be channels for healing light and love, for healing out into the world, fullest blossoming, greatest good, peaceful resolutions for conflict with nonviolent communication, and reaching win-win-win outcomes for all, which is the only win. And so prayers for ceasefire and violence all over in the external world and within our internal worlds, for bringing through the healing light and love and the peace that's so needed to help heal this sacred hoop we're gifted to be a part of. May it be so. Oh, all right.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that's actually such a perfect prayer. I feel like you read my mind about the question that came in from Morgan around well, I was, hold on, let me just pull it up. I always think I can just remember it, and then I'm like, I should just read it directly. Hey, Tom, can you please talk to us about fear and scarcity and how we can use shamanism to overcome fears of scarcity and fear? So that's kind of fitting, to say the least, because so much of violence in the world comes from fear of the other and fear of not enough, right? Whether it's fear of us not being enough, or there not being enough food or water or riches or whatever it is. So this will be interesting to hear from you.
Yeah, well, it's more of hearing from the Great Spirit coming through me. So let me just open up and listen to working with fear and thoughts of scarcity. So fear is an emotion and energetic experience we have in our bodies and our energy field that really gets our attention because it's a survival mechanism. If we didn't have the ability to experience fear, our species never would have survived. And it's appropriate to be fearful today, to have fears today about whether humanity is going to survive because of what's going on in the world. So fear is never going to go away because it's built into the hardware of being a biological organism on this particular planet with its marvelous manifestations. So fear's not going away. So to me, the real issue is, well, how can I create a response? How can I create a working relationship with when I experience fear so that I'm not disempowered by it, but I use it through the relationship I create with it to empower me to go forward with my life. So it's befriending fears, turning fear into an ally. Number one, not judging ourselves when we feel fear or anxiety, that we're bad or lesser or weaker or whatever. Those are all natural built-in survival energies. And so it's important to, okay, then what's my worst fear? Fear comes up. What am I most fearful of? Instead of resisting it or trying to run away from it or distract from it, which is just going to give it more energy and create more tension and suffering inside of us. It's more fruitful, more skillful to just go straight to, or I find it for myself anyway. You have to check it out yourself, because we're all a little bit different. But for me, it's like, go, what's my worst fear? And see that on the inner screen, and see what it triggers inside of me and my reactivity, and breathing in, breathing out, remembering all the while, my worst fear is not happening to me right now. Right now, I'm totally fine. I'm safe. I'm protected. I'm well. So, reminding ourselves in the moment of being alive that whatever it is we're most fearful of, we're not usually experiencing it right in the moment. It's in our minds. Our minds are creating it through a thought that triggers the energetic response of fear. So it's helpful to look at what's my worst fear, what would be my reactivity to it, and then giving the truth of whatever your reactivity is to experiencing your worst fear, then asking the question, how might it be possible to create a response to this, a relationship to this, what I'm most frightened of, that could somehow open a doorway of awareness to bring something through that strengthens me, enriches me in my life. So I'll give you an example of this. Many times in the early years of Vision Quest, and before they had the bear canisters, and Kimberly, you well know this because you've experienced both sides of it from going out on Vision Quest when you were young, we had to tie the food, when taking a group out and we'd get to base camp, we'd have to tie the food up in a tree in a particular challenging way that counterbalances a rope on either side of a branch, going over a branch, hanging down and balancing. So a bear can't walk underneath and jump up and get it, and it's out on a limb small enough, strong enough to hold the weight of the food for 5, 6, 7 people, whatever. We're going to be fasting for 2 or 3 days, and not break the branch, but yet not so thick that a bear could easily get out on it and just undo the rope and drop the food to the ground. So always a challenging maneuver, and a number of times after people went out on their 2 or 3 days of vision fasting, and I was in base camp doing my version of that, bears would come around, sometimes one bear, sometimes more, sometimes a mother with cubs, and climb the tree and try to get that food. And my job was to chase them away, make a noise, play the drum, make threatening energy, to try to drive them away from getting the food. Because people coming back from the fast would really need the food to be able to hike back out from the mountains that we'd hiked into for the Vision Quest. So I'd have plenty of opportunities for fear to be triggered inside of me by myself in the mountains, for those bears coming around, and some of them not leaving the way I wanted them to leave, but making threatening gestures to me. So one particular night, it was particularly bad, and this one big, huge bear was semicircling around where I was and making grunting noises, and I was just terrified, absolutely terrified. And so I said, so what's my worst fear? My worst fear is the bear attacks me and kills me. And it's a slow, painful death, where I see it pulling my heart out, and I still have awareness and see my last few moments and burying my heart or ripping my face, terrible images and horrible pain and suffering. And so I'd face it all and look at it and say, okay, and give myself experience to feel whatever I was feeling. And then I would remind myself of 2 things. One, it's not happening now, so you're totally safe. In fact, you're creating this state of extreme agitation and freakoutness by your thoughts about what could happen. And it's true, it could happen. So we're not going to be in denial about that. You have to face the truth of what could happen. But equally so, the flip side of that coin, it's not happening now. And so I'm totally fine now. And my freak out is due to my thinking, how I'm using my mind. So how can I create a response to this and work with this skillfully to bring some good medicine through this doorway, what the Huichols would call this Neurika? Well, everything starts with intention. So it's that kind of orientation. How might I be able to? And so I'd go back into the vision of the worst thing happening. And if it is happening, what could I possibly do to help me through it? And so what kind of opened a doorway of awareness to was, well, you're a reminder of you're not your body. Tomás. You're not your body. You're not your ego identity that identifies with your body. And you're not the sensations or the feelings of your body. Your awareness is experiencing all that as part of your human incarnation that you're going through in the moment. But none of that is who you really are. And the deeper part of you is always connected to the infinite oneness of the universe, whatever you want to call that. God, spirit, the Tao, quantum foam, infinite field of quantum foam, um, whatever you want to call it. Holy Spirit, Holy Mother. The deepest part of you is connected with that larger presence, essence that's infinite, that's in you and you're in. And so if your body's going through that, that's the way you physically die in this incarnation. While you're going through it, you can be surrendering into God's presence. Just surrendering, yes, my body's going through all of this. It's not who I am. Surrender into what, in fact, you never really left to begin with, except to the degree you identified yourself as your body and your ego and its stories. So by just doing that, just reminding myself, I'm way more than who I think I am, my ego identity, the constriction, the limitations of my ego identity. I'm way more than my body. And in fact, I'm connected to something infinite, and I'm connected to it right now. And I can breathe that peace into me now because it's flowing in with the breath, a gift from the universe. And so I breathe that peace in and let it go through my body, which is all tense and tight, and just breathe in and release the muscles slowly but surely. And with the breath out, just letting go more and more tension, opening more room for the next breath to come in. And so gradually, I'm noticing, I'm listening, a connection to the state of inner peace that's within the center of my being and all of our beings underneath the mind-created storms or waves of the surface of the ocean that we create. So the bear's still around there. I hear it snorting around in the dark, and the fear anxiety response is just starting to lessen and lessen. Say, well, no, that I'm just going to put a circle of protection around myself, let the bear know I'm not here to hurt it, and breathing in an energy of light, filling myself up and growing it out, expanding it 10, 15 feet out from my physical body, so I have protection, and I'm breathing in the peace, and I'm enjoying right now. Look up at the night sky. Look at the sharp, sparkling stars, the clarity with no artificial lights, and look at the Milky Way. Oh my God! Look at the way it moves through the sky and changes, and the soft wind. And all of a sudden, I'm enjoying myself. So I've totally shifted my state of consciousness and my experience of being alive in the moment. So to share this is an example of working with fears, of how to work with our fears in a skillful way by befriending it, to look at what our worst fears are. How would I deal with it, my reactivity, and then how could I deal with it skillfully? And that exploration, just asking those questions, will open up insights and understanding that'll bring through a different energy that changes your state from the freak out state to calming down, slowing down, and being able to be present with the truth of I'm totally fine now, and there's things for me to see and enjoy right now, being alive. So let me do that. Let me get along. Let me get on with being really present in this moment to see what there is for me to enjoy, what there is for me to experience that, and how I can use all of what's happening to help me grow in the ways that I want to grow. So scarcity, coming back to the scarcity. Scarcity. Let's notice the meaning of scarcity. There's not very much of something around, or present, or available. There's just very little of it. And it's hard to find. It's scarce. You might not be able to find it. So there's more fear and anxiety, and then that can come into violence when you project onto others, or see others coming to try to take away what you have. Maybe they are, maybe it's just in your mind, maybe they're physically doing it. Either case, how to work skillfully with that, with the demands of that situation. But so coming back to scarcity, the thought, it's a thought stream, particular words put together on a sentence like, there's not enough love in the world, there's not enough food in the world, it's not for me, my family, there's just not enough of it. It's scarce and it's hard to get. There's not enough money, prosperity. There's not enough whatever you can think of that in your mind there's not enough of. And just notice when you put your energy into that thought form of scarcity, that the consequence of what's triggered energetically inside of you. I don't imagine that's going to be a pleasant experience in the moment when you put all your attention into believing that there's not enough for me. There's just not enough. It's hard to find. It's really scarce. Just noticing that you have the power to choose to believe in that sentence or not, and noticing the truth, the data, so to speak, of the experiment, putting your energy into that thought form, and then staying present with your awareness and notice what comes. Body the body might tense up.
Hey, we lost reception there for a few minutes, but we are back, and sorry about that. Our power went out, so we lost reception. But Dad, you were starting to talk about scarcity, and if that's like programmed into us and inevitable, or if there's work we can do to avoid operating from a scarcity mindset.
Well,
and maybe actually you could just guide us in a visualization around that, around visualization of I remember an old snowboarding friend of mine, Jim Rippey, shout out to you, Jim, if you hear this ever. He said we were going mountain biking, and he said, look at where you want to go, not where you don't want to go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I'm
Yeah.
going to pay attention to that, since this guy's a world-class snowboarder. He was referencing mountain biking, but it's applicable in so many things. So maybe you could guide us in a visualization on healthy abundance.
All right, well, let's go inside here to the experience of what we notice with our eyes closed, and the visual stimuli isn't coming in through the retinas in the eye, and instead we're experiencing with those eyelids shut, noticing our bodies, noticing the flow of oxygen into our bodies with each breath. And without that flow of oxygen that comes in with the breath, we wouldn't be here. So the creative power of the universe that creates oxygen on planet Earth, that knows how to, that wisdom power of the universe that knows how to take that energy that comes from the sun, a star in the sky, Father Sun, sending down starlight energy, the fuel of life from the sun to Mother Earth. Our bodies, every molecule, atom of our bodies, composed of exploded stardust, you might say. Our bodies are made of stardust, fueled by stardust. And all of that's coming to us not by our creation. We didn't think it up. We didn't figure it out in the laboratory, how to make the sun and how to send it to us and how to make oxygen. No, the great spirit, the great mystery, the wisdom power of the universe, the divine creating, activating wisdom energy power of the universe created all of creation and breathes the gift of life into us. We're the recipients of the infinite creative wisdom power of the energy, an infinite field of creative potential, a field of infinite possibility, of infinite potential. And in this life as a human being, we don't know what's possible for us to create or bring through. And so it's important to notice if there's any thought forms like there's a scarcity of love in the world. There's not enough for me. Thought forms of negativity, of limitation that cut off conscious accessing the infinite creative wisdom power of the universe, which is available to us in being alive as human beings, flowing in that breath, bringing in life force, wisdom power, creativity, of the universe flowing into us. And when it comes in, it asks us, what do you want to co-create with me with this energy I give you? Do you want to create a world of scarcity and manipulate it so 1% gets the goodies and the rest suffer? Obviously, massive humanity's chosen to do that at this stage in your evolution, and you can see the consequences of that. The world's drying up, burning up, flooding up, species extinction, air hard to breathe from smoke from fires, heat burning us, you name it. That's what we've co-created, but we have the opportunity in being alive now in these challenging times to pull the plug on those thought forms based on the perception of separation, which produces fear from where the violence comes from. We have the ability to be able to co-create with spirit and with each other, working cooperatively together with humanity around the world to create the kind of a world where every child that's born, every little boy and girl that's born all over the world, gets all the resource support they need to realize their fullest potential, their highest potential for bringing art into the world, of music or creativity, of healing, of scientific wisdom, knowledge of how the universe truly works, which is through interwoven interconnectivity. And we can work collectively together, cooperatively, with an intention to listen to that wisdom guidance of the universe, which is infinite, about what actions can we take individually and collectively, internally and externally, working with others, changing social structures and policies and institutions to nurture life instead of destroy and hurt life. So we have the possibility of creating that kind of a win-win world for all. We have that possibility, but it can only happen if we choose that as an intention, and that's what we'd like to try to co-create with spirit in our lives, creating that kind of a world. We pay attention to pulling the plug on the thought forms of limitation and say, oh, that's not possible, but you're a dreamer, you're naive, you're fooling yourself, you're an ostrich with your head in the sand. Look what people do. It's never going to happen. You might as well just go get yours, or just, get all, fucked up on whatever and just shut down. So, all these choices available to us. But the bottom line is we live in a universe of infinite possibility, and we never know what's possible unless we show up, take the time to reflect inside and listen into our souls about what's most important for us, what do we value most to put our energy, attention into, and then show up and follow up the guidance we get on the action steps to take that can bring that, what we vision on the inner plane or hope for or wish for, into being, into manifestation, making it happen and giving it our best shot, and stay in the course with perseverance. Then we're going to find out whether that what you're dreaming of is possible or not, and only then. But the starting place is to come from a place of abundance based on the truth of the fact that we live in a universe of infinite potential to manifest. Live in a universe, have connection to a power, a wisdom that knows how to create a universe, knows how to maintain a universe in all its magnificence and all of its mysterious workings. And we're in that universe, and that universe is inside of us. And with the gift of a human incarnation and self-reflective mind, we are given the opportunity, the challenge, to co-create consciously with that creative wisdom power of the universe. And we're living in a time now more than ever for us to wake up, remember the truth of who we are, that we're sacred, worthy, luminous beings, that we are love. Love is forgiving and receiving. Wake up, wise up, recognize the sacredness of our interconnectivity, of our interwovenness, and what we do to another, we do to ourselves. What we do to another, we do to our children, and on down the line. Pull the plug on the unconsciously conditioned thought forms of scarcity and limitation, and open our minds up, our consciousness up, our awareness up, to remembering the truth that we live in a universe of infinite abundance, infinite potential, infinite possibility. And in this human life, it asks us, what do you want to do with this opportunity? May we all choose wisely, opening our hearts to the love that lives at the essence of our being. Infinite light and infinite love available to us. No scarcity. Infinite light, infinite love available to us with each breath in. And so as we leave, the breath leaves, letting go of thought forms that get in the way of realizing that oneness and the richness of it, the abundance of it. And give thanks, giving thanks, sending out from our hearts gratitude for whatever the gifts of your life that have deepest meaning, that feed your soul. And in these challenging times, prayers for peace in the world, peaceful resolution of conflicts, meeting the deepest needs of common humanity. We all have the same needs at the deepest level of our being as human beings, how to work cooperatively with each other to get those needs met for a win-win world. Peaceful, just, beautifully, diverse, happy, win-win world. Polishing up our stardust to shine, shine, shine. May it be so. Take a deep breath. Stretch, open your eyes, come back in. Today's the day to bring your boogaloo through. Go for it.
Oh. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your abundant love and wisdom and sharing and beauty, and each of you, not just you, Poppy, each of you out there listening and watching. Thank you.
Always.
Hugs to everyone, and may you have a sweet week ahead, shining and feeling your abundance. And we'll see you next week. And thank you for sharing Shamanic Sundays with us.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.